Okay, welcome back, folks, for our first interview in 2022. Welcome to another soul driven. Okay, I'm going to start all over again. Thank you. um, I haven't been podcasting for the past month, so
I know, it feels like you have to remember.
yeah. Okay. All right, folks, welcome back and thank you for joining us for another soul driven interview. It's our first one in 2022, and I am very excited to introduce you to Mara Marchesi, the intuition queen, who's an intuitive and creative coach specializing in color therapy and emotional and energetic healing. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much, Hannah, for having me.
So I feel like maybe I got through your name, but then I was like tripping up all over
You said everything perfectly, so don't worry about it.
It's all good. It's all good. All right. So I am super excited to learn all about color therapy today. It's something that I had heard about in the past and very, very briefly, but I had a really fun time sort of diving into in the midst of getting ready for interviewing you. So I can't wait to go there. But before we do, the first question that I like to ask all of my guests, what makes you soul driven?
Ah, well, um, it's the inner desire, really. I don't think that you're soul driven just because you decide to be. I think that your soul wants you to be soul driven. And so at some point in your life, you just start to make choices and decisions that take you there. And for me, it started when I was in my 20s. And I got to a point where, I just realized that what I had was not what I wanted. That I had this craving of a different kind of life. And for me, it meant moving from Italy to London and explore this desire that I had to live there. Because for some reason, my soul wanted me to go there. And from that moment, I started to learn to trust my intuition and to do things that made me feel good and that had a meaning. Um, but it wasn't always that way. I started like everyone. You go to school, you find a good job, you find a nice guy, and to me at some point it was just like, yeah, but this is not it. And I had this craving within me. I'd been to London before and I knew I felt that was home. And at some point, I just left everything and everyone and I just went. And that's where I think my soul journey started, because I started listening. And from there, it just got more and more and more in tune to what I was supposed to experience. I think we kind of all are soul driven, but some of us have a hard time to listen, and some others listen a little bit and then they stop, and some others just go with it. And I think at some point you just become aware of why you're doing what you're doing, and what everything means, and why something bad happened to you and why you met that person. But it's just a matter of having the courage to listen to your intuition and your soul messages.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for the way that I look at it, and I had read this somewhere a while ago, and it really resonated with me, is the difference between the fated path and the soul path,
Mm.
right? So like for me personally in my life, I had a marketing agency for a decade. I really enjoyed marketing. I loved working with business owners. And I could have continued on that path and I could have, I was making great money. I was like
Yeah.
doing well. But when my soul started speaking, it was like, nah, girl, we
Mm.
got to go in a different direction. And I
Mm.
fought it, for a while
Oh
and
yeah.
tantrumed and was just like, no, I don't want to. Because I couldn't imagine how to build this other life. But at
Yeah.
the same time, it was like, once your soul comes alive, like
Mm-mm.
you can't, you know, like
It's
you're
difficult.
eventually going to give in.
Yeah.
And I do think that like the soul path is the harder path on the front end,
Oh yeah.
but I
Oh yeah.
think that it leads to fulfillment and satisfaction in ways that the fated path never will. Even though I think that you can find happiness on the fated path,
Oh yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the soul path is probably more difficult because you don't know anything about it.
No.
And there are going to be quite a few challenges, and it's all about growing and healing and releasing. While the fated path, at some point, if you find your way, like you did, and you had a marketing agency, I mean, why would you leave that? Why would you, leave a successful career? You actually liked it. So but as you said, at some point when your soul starts to speak, you gotta have to listen, because it's gonna get so loud that there is not a way. uh, so it's about learning to do it as soon as you can, to get to the point where you have to do it, but it's a bit of a mess when your soul gets to that point, because it's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna make it happen for you, so now you're gonna
Oh,
have to deal with the shit that comes to it.
yeah, exactly, exactly. It was just like my fated life, my marketing life, like things just stopped working, you know.
Yeah.
Then I was tantruming and pushing back against the universe and was like, "No, I don't even know
Mhm.
how to do this. There's no way." Then they're like, "Fine. You're just things aren't going to work the way they used to anymore. You're not going to be able to work the way you did. You're not going to get the clients you used to. You're not going to like things are just not going to go the way that they did
Yeah,
before. So you can either make this decision, you can go nicely,
exactly.
or get dumped into it. But
Yeah.
I think that that's you know the soul's way of taking care of us, and
Yeah.
certainly the universe's way. And once we surrender, things just unfold so beautifully. So you clearly have an accent. I'd love to
Yes.
know like where you're located at now.
I am
Definitely.
back.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I am back in Italy. I moved back after 12 years last year. Just because, again, my soul decided that that was the thing that I had to do. I moved to London thinking London was going to be my place forever. And about 2018, I started to go to the States to work with Jack Canfield. And then I worked with my coach. And I was like, oh, States, I like that. And I started thinking, okay, I think I can leave London now, but how do I get to the States? But I could go somewhere else because I can work with my laptop. And in the midst of thinking, okay, so how do I make this happen? La, la, la. I was like, no, I'm not going back to Italy. Where else could I go? Spain. Maybe this, maybe that. Then the pandemic hit. I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay put in London and think about how to move forward in my business. And then at some point, my soul just kicked me and said, you're moving back to Italy. I'm like, what? No, I'm not moving back to Italy now. I need the sun. I need a different environment, but it's not Italy. And it just became loud, and I was like, okay, I learned not to fight you, so let me just go back for a couple of weeks and see how I feel about being back. And kind of and I came back and I was like, okay, so I think my soul wants me to do something here, so let's do it. And I moved back last year in March. And it's been good. I'm happy to be here. I got to a point where London did not feel like home anymore, and I felt a lot of disconnection. And it wasn't for the pandemic. I mean, obviously, the pandemic helped because you couldn't see anybody. Everybody was far. You couldn't travel. You couldn't do anything. So you kind of felt a little bit isolated. And but I think it was a process that I was already going through, and I had not realized, and everything that happened during the pandemic made me just, well, I just heard a voice coming out of myself being like, you moving back home. And I was like, what? No. But I'm happy to be back here. It's been a little bit challenging to readjust, but I know why I'm here. I understand what I had to go through last year, and I know my soul never made me choose things that are gonna hurt me. And so I learned through the years that there is always a reason why your soul wants you to do something. And instead of fighting what your intuition wants you to do, just go with it, because you cannot see ahead, but there is a path that you need to walk, because it's going to be better for your evolution, your growth, and everything is going to come together. And yeah, this was what happened last year, and everything is exactly coming together. I'm like, okay, I got it. So yeah, I'm in Italy. I'm in Milan now.
That's awesome. That's incredible. Yeah, I think the past 2 years have been such an awakening time for all of us.
Mm.
But I love that you listened to your soul. Again, even though it was like home, no way, I don't want to go there. Um, Side note, pizza's like probably my favorite thing on earth, and I will come to Italy and eat all the pizza one day.
Please let me know when you come. I'll tell you where to go.
Yes, no, no, no. I will 1000% be relying on the locals. Like, hello, please take me to the best places. Um, okay, so I want to dive in a little bit here. If you could like share a bit of an overview of your background and then like kind of what brought you to the work that you're doing today, and
Okay.
then I'm so pumped to dive into color therapy and all the things.
Yay. Well, I started like a normal person doing normal jobs, and I used to work in advertising when I was here. And then I moved to London, and I kind of started doing quite a few different jobs because I couldn't find a job in advertising. And when I moved to London, a friend of mine gave me The Secret to read. And that book completely opened up doors and a word for me that I had no idea existed. And because it was really challenging when I moved, because obviously I was really stressed out and sad that I couldn't find a job that I loved. I had to kind of go for whatever I found, because at some point I needed the money to pay the bills. So that book helped me, and I started to get into it. And I started to use the things that were telling about, to the point that I had people, my colleagues, my friends, coming to me for advice. And after that, I started to have people being like, Mara, why are you looking at those people? Why don't you become a coach? And I was like, no, but you need to have this and that and that. And they're like, yeah, but you study and you become a coach and you do what you like. I mean, you clearly like it. People come to you because they want to feel better. I mean, I really don't see why you couldn't do it. And I was like, and that started to become a thought that became mine at some point. But like a lot of people do, oh yeah, one day, one day, one day. And there was always something else that I was doing. And then in 2015, my dad passed away pretty suddenly. And that scared the shit out of me, because I was like, okay, so I mean, we don't live up until 80, 90. And what have I been doing here? I have not been making my dreams come true. And the thing that I really want to do is become a coach. And I've done nothing. I've been wasting my time. And so I took a year to heal, and because obviously the first year was really challenging. And then I started looking for a coaching academy. Um, and synchronicities started to happen. And I found this course from the Beautiful You Coaching Academy, which is an Australian coaching academy, which is also for women, spiritual women. And because everything that I was looking at in London was all very masculine, very salesy. And I was like, I want to make money, but it doesn't feel like this is what I want to do. And they were like, oh, you need to learn this before you can do that. I was like, yeah, that's not the way I work anyway. I'm more like a creative kind of mind. So I can put all of the pieces together, but don't tell me I need to do 1, 2, 3, 4 to get to 5, because that doesn't work for me. And so I found this course, which was online, 6 months, and I just started it. And that's how I started to be a coach. And when there were towards the end, there were questions about, okay, what kind of niche, what kind of coach you want to be, what kind of niche, and answering to the questions came up, intuitive and creative. I was like, yeah, okay, of course I am an intuitive and creative. And yeah, I said, and that's how I started. And I already loved colors. I had aura reading 2016, where the lady was reading the color of my aura. It was telling me things about my life, and I was like, what is this? You just told me my aura is green. How do you see that? What is this? And I started to kind of learn about it. I'm like, okay. And then there was aura reading and color therapy. And somehow for me, color therapy just was more prominent. And I was like, okay. And I started studying that, which was together with my coaching course. And yeah, and everything started to kind of get together. What I realized was that I wanted to help women to learn to tune into their intuition and to listen to it, to trust it. Also, because I had a friend of mine that is a psychotherapist, and she was like, you don't realize how your intuition is strong. And I was like, oh, that's more like your intuition. And that person, she was like, no. She's also a channeler. So she was like, no, the guys upstairs are telling me you need to be called the intuition queen because your intuition is really strong. And then all of a sudden I started to have people telling me, how do you know all of the things you're telling me about me? And I'm like, I don't know, I just know it. Like, don't you know it? Like, don't you feel this from her? And people were like, no. And so I started to believe what I was told, and started to dive deeper, and then everything started to come together. I did a lot of work on my emotions and inner child healing, and I realized how important that is. And so I was like, okay, I want to use this to help other people. And so in all of the things that I was doing, it became clear that I was really interested in emotional healing and energy healing. I kind of didn't know that at the time, but everything that I wanted to read or everything that I was interested about, workshops, and I started to put all of the things together. I did also a Reiki level 1 in 2016 through a friend of mine. She was like, okay, 6 months have passed from your dad passing. I think you need to kind of clear the energy and come do take the first level. And that was really helpful. And so I started to understand how emotion, energy play out with you. And then I learned that color therapy also helps you with that. And I was like, oh, and then I get to use colors. And so at some point, all of a sudden, everything just came together. And so this is what I do now.
It's very cool. It's kind of like as you were talking, I was just seeing like all of these different like paths that were popping up, you know what I mean? And then they all kind of like started coming together,
Yeah.
and then showed up for you. And I love that. I think it's really beautiful how we always end up using the things that heal us to help other people,
Yeah.
you know, especially um, whether, you know, someone's a coach or not. I just think that that is infused into our purpose, you know, and I think our purpose continually changes in regards to how it looks, but I think the underlining component of it is is always attached to what has been healing for us, and then we want to spread it everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I started to talk to my friends, but obviously you have to be ready to do a certain kind of work. And so like, okay, I'm just gonna start with people that I don't know. Probably they want to hear this better. But to me, it's just such a crucial work, and it just the freedom that you get when you realize a lot of things. You put all of the dots together, and you realize, oh, I'm actually not that person, because that's never been something that I wanted to believe, but I had to. Or, yeah, maybe I was that person 2 years ago when I was doing that kind of job and I was with that kind of person. I was living in that city, but I'm no longer that person. So, there is a process that sometimes it's very complicated and difficult, but once you get through and you learn to understand yourself and you get to know yourself, even when you face a challenge, it's no longer daunting or doesn't make you freak out, because you know how you work. And once you know how you work, yes, of course you're going to have a moment of meltdown, but then you're like, okay, I know that I work in this way and I need this to take my energy back, and I know this is the mechanism that I have. I know this makes me feel good, and to connect to myself I need to do that. And you slowly readjust yourself quicker than you would when you started, maybe because you had no idea who you were, how you function in that way. So for me, this is like, I'm kind of allowing you to rediscover yourself and peel off the layers, so then you have a kind of a blueprint of the way you function that you can use in any situation, especially in the challenging situations.
Yeah.
And it's that trust that builds in within you, and you're like, okay, I got this. Yes, it's really annoying, I really don't want to deal with this, but I have to. So okay, let me go through this.
Yeah. We
And
call
I
it,
just say,
I think it starts with knowing yourself, right?
yeah,
And the big theme of this podcast, the quote that I use all the time, when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits.
yes,
So that's where it starts. And then, of course, I talk a lot, especially in the past couple of months on the podcast, about building a toolkit.
mm-mm.
Um, the monthly Akashic record readings that have been coming through, they've been very vocal about creating that toolkit for ourselves,
Yeah,
to help us manage with life and those kinds of things. And I mean, just in regards to where our planet is at right now,
yeah,
things are bumpy, and not even counting our everyday life, which can be up and down and all over the place. So when we have those things in place, it really provides us a strong foundation to return to, and I think it's everything from things that make you laugh to things that like calm you down to whatever,
yes, absolutely.
So real quickly, I was just personally curious before we dive into color therapy. So human design is also something you do. So I'd love to
Yeah,
know like what your type and authority are, your
I'm a
profile.
generator, sacral authority. I'm a 5-1 line
Nice.
5.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
looking over like all the things you do. I'm like, she's a generator or an MG.
Team, yeah. I when I started doing this, when I started being a coach, and you learn all the things, and you're learning all the workbook, and there are books that tell you that you read, and then I started to get lost in so many things, and I was like, oh my god, the Akashic records, oh my god, numerology, oh my god, this, and at some point I was like, okay, no, focus, focus, focus. Okay, you can no, human design kind of arrived a little bit later for me. In card reading was always there, but it kind of was of an accident, because I read The Universe Has Your Back, and then Gabby Bernstein came up with the cards. And I was like, this is just nice, in the morning, you just pull a card and you just get a nice message. So that's how it started. And then I found out that there are color cards, and I'm like, oh, I gotta have the color cards. And then I don't know what happened. But I know that I started to buy decks because I liked them and because I liked the thing of the message. And I think that at some point I was in my healers group. I learned about this woman that was reading cards and the way she was doing it. I don't know what happened, but at some point I just started reading it for friends, and they were like, "Oh my god, this is so on point. How do you do that?" And I was like, "Well, uh, I don't know. This is the message that it's in the card, and this is what I feel it says." And then I said, "Okay, well then I guess I can read cards too." And so this is how it came up. But human design started. I had my first reading in 2020. I was working with my coach, and in the program there was a session at some point where she wanted you to have a proper reading.
Mm.
Midway to the program, I think it was so that you were at a point where you weren't yet there, but you had learned things about yourself, and so you could kind of put the pieces together. And I just remember that when I had the reading, I was like, "How do you know these things about myself? You don't know me." And I just remember the guy saying, "Mara, intuitive and creative for you, it's not just a fancy title. You are extremely creative and you are extremely intuitive, and you need to do this in order for you to stay in tune and to be creative. And once you do this, everything comes together." And I was like, "Oh my God." Um, but then I left it there. I was like, okay, checking in every now and again what he had said, and I highlighted a couple of things that I thought were helpful. But then I just didn't think was something for me. I was like, "Oh, this is just nice." And then a friend of mine was like, "Can I do a reading for you? Because I'm learning this." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, of course you can." And she knows about color therapy. She was like, "Oh my God, but you know, the gene keys and this and color therapy, there is something there. You need to learn this." I'm like, "Okay, wait a second." I was like, "Okay, let me do a color reading to you, and let's see, because I need to understand a couple of things." And I did a color reading to her. She's like, "You need to learn human design." And then I think I had an Akashic record reading, and I asked the lady, "What do I need to know about human design?" And she was like, "Oh, if you put it together with color therapy, you just give tools to your clients." That I'm like,
Well, I
"Okay,
was just thinking, it's like it's so perfect because, I mean, for those who are listening and aren't familiar with human design, what's beautiful about human design and what it does is it reads your energy and how your energy works in this world. And color is energy. And
exactly."
so they're perfectly suited to each other.
Yeah. And so I started learning human design, and I got so into it. I'm like, "Yes, of course. Why did I not think about this before?" And then I started to do it as a test only to my clients that were signed up to my program. And I was like, "Okay, I'm just going to give them a complimentary session in human design," because I wasn't sure. Human design, there is a lot to learn. For me, doing a color reading is quicker, and I wasn't sure how I was going to be as a reader. So I was like, "I'm just going to do it with my clients that are signed up to this, and I'm going to do a color reading and a human design reading, and then we'll go through whatever we need to do." And I realized that if I combine them, it just gives you so much information about your energy, your behavior, your tendencies. But the thing is that they complement each other, because yes, you're going to see similarities if you do a color reading and a human design reading, but one kind of helps the other one. So adds on information that you wouldn't have if you did just a color reading, and adds on information that you wouldn't have if you did just a human design reading. I was like, "Oh my God." And so I got really into this, and now I'm just offering together with the program, but I am working on doing things like just doing readings solo, and then combine just to, I have a mini program that I haven't yet launched because I'm also about to move house. So there is a lot going on. I'm doing in-person events here in Italy. So there are other things that are happening. I was like, okay, fine. I got this, but I kind of want to do it later on. And if you combine this, it kind of gives you a map.
Yeah.
And once you have a map and you follow it, it's just so easy. You understand yourself on a level that you wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah, I've been using human design even with my marketing clients back in my with my branding and everything. In the midst of helping them create brands for themselves,
Yeah.
human design was so helpful. And of course, I use it now with my like life and transformational coaching and spiritual coaching as well. I think it's such an incredible tool, and I feel like it could complement anything that's out there.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. So let's transition into color therapy. Otherwise, I feel like we may never get there. So let's just kind of start with the basics, and if you can share with us like what color therapy is.
Okay, so colors have energy. They have positive and negative tendencies. Uh, the way I do color readings, the first time you come working with me, I will do your color chart, which is based on your date of birth. And your date of birth is going to tell me what color is the energies you were born with, what colors are the energies you need to use in your life, and what kind of skills you have, what kind of energy, what color and what kind of energies you need to use to get to your life mission, and what is your life mission, what color is your life mission.
Are they like are the colors associated with anything like astrology signs or months or anything like
They
that?
are associated to numerology.
Okay, interesting.
So for
So like every color is
example,
a or every number is a different color?
yeah, and you get from 1 to 9 because there are 9 colors. So it's all the color of the chakras. So red, orange, yellow, blue, green, indigo, and purple. And then you have pink and gold.
Hmm.
And
What
like for
colors?
example,
3 and 9?
yellow and gold.
Yellow and gold? Interesting.
Yes. And it gives you again a map of your behavior.
Hmm.
So normally the way it works, you will come to me saying, I don't know, Mara, I feel stuck in my business, or there is this situation, or there is this other situation.
Well, hold up. Let me ask you this real quick before you
Yeah,
get into that, just to kind of clarify a little bit more. So, you would take someone's like birth date, like
yeah,
11/27/1981, and
yeah,
you would apply colors to each number.
yeah, yeah. I
And
do.
then
I put them
how does
together.
it end up in the end since it's a lot of numbers?
It has to be 4 numbers, so it's normally the day, the month, the year, and the 3 of them combined,
Okay, so
which make
you're breaking them
your
all
life
down into
mission. Yeah,
one number,
yeah,
like with
yeah, yeah, yeah,
numerology.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So for folks who are listening aren't kind of familiar what we're talking with, it's like we have our year, our day, and then our year. Wait, our month, our year, our day, and our year. So like
Let's
for
make it very
me,
simple. Let's say 1st of February 2022, right? So first it's 1, and then you will have a 2, and then you will have a 6, and then you will have a 9, because you put all of the 3 numbers together. That's how you come up. The last number is your life mission. It's the energy of your life mission.
okay.
And so I'm wearing pink because pink is one of my colors, and it comes up twice for me. And it just tells you it's a map. So you have certain energies that are related to certain colors.
Do you think it's like, yeah, but it's okay. It's not super loud.
Okay.
It's real life, right? I mean,
Yeah.
do you think that people get like were you really um Were you really into pink beforehand? Do you think people
Yeah,
are
pink.
naturally gravitate
So
towards their colors?
my color, yeah, my colors are pink, purple, and orange. And pink and purple have been my favorite color since I was a child.
Okay.
So when I did my
Interesting.
color reading, I was like, aha. And so I was living with a friend of mine who is a art director, and I was doing my thing. I didn't ask him anything, but I started to do my logo. And then it was like, oh, let me do it for you. I was like, thank you. And we were going through all of the colors, and it's like, okay, so choose the color. I'm like, no, it has to be pink, purple, and orange. And it's like, well, that's too many colors. I'm like, well, you cannot say to me that's too many colors, because you also know me. So no. And we had a little fight, and then he gave up and he put my colors. And so I do a lot of readings of people that want to understand their brand colors, and they want to understand it on a more energetical level rather than on a more business kind of perspective. And it's just me. And every time I do a reading, maybe with I had an Akashic record reading, the lady was like, you need to keep wearing pink. I'm like, I know. It's my color. But what's funny is that normally the people that I have sessions with, they come with one of the colors, they wear one of the colors. And I think it's just funny. And I started to be like, maybe it's just a coincidence, but every single time they are wearing a headband or a necklace or something. And then I start to tell them, okay, so you have this, oh my God, this is my favorite color. I'm like, yeah, I kind of figured it was going to be one of those.
Is black one?
No,
Okay,
I mean, not in the color reading, but then I also do include other colors when, yeah, for example, if you go on my Instagram, you will see what I say about black, gray, brown, because those are also colors, but they have a different energy. So black is normally either a color that you need for protection, or you might be someone that doesn't like change much, and so you like things in a certain way, and unless you make a decision about it. So it depends on the energy that you have around you at that time.
Maybe protection for my personal self anyway is more, because
Yeah,
I'm like, I like change. It keeps life interesting.
yeah.
But I can definitely be very rigid too. So
So there you go.
let's just be real, Anna. Okay. So would you mind going through the numbers and like telling us what they are?
Yeah, so 1 is red, 2 is orange, and 3 is yellow, and 4 is green, 5 is blue, 6 is indigo, 7 is purple, 8 is pink, and 9 is gold.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, awesome. So I just wanted to make sure I have, it's so interesting to me in regards to the numerology, like how that links up. Okay, so talk with us about how color affects us, and like how you use it as a, I would assume, and I'm kind of overreaching here, but not only a tool to help people get to know themselves more, but like a healing tool, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So what happens when I do a color reading, and the way I help my clients with the colors has different, it's a process. So you come to me with whatever it is that you want to work on. And if you've never done a color reading, I will obviously give you your chart. But what happens is that I write down what is your thing that you want to work on, and then I start to tune into your energy. And as I go through it, I write down what the colors mean, but then I start to feel other things. So your energy tells me what fears you might have, what situations you might have. And sometimes I feel you need to use other colors that are not related to your color chart because you need something else. And so after I tuned in, we have a session and we start talking about it. And normally what happened is that your energy tells me what's going on. So every color has a tendency that can be negative or positive. So let's say red is the color of leadership, and if you have that color, whichever part you have it in your chart, you are a groundbreaker, someone that likes to take action and do things. But that color is also very active and it's prone to burnout, and it's prone to negative thinking, because if you don't get things done in the way that you want to, or if you delegate and things don't happen the way you want to, you might get upset, and so you start thinking negative, because that's the energy of the color. And so it's knowing how to use that energy, and obviously depending on your chart, you kind of know, and you can kind of use that. So this is about your energy in your chart. When there are other colors that pop up, we discuss that. And I have situations where people are like, yeah, but I don't like this color. And normally it's like, orange is a color that either you love it or you don't. But when clients tell me, yeah, I don't like this color, then I'm like, that's why you need to work with this color. When you don't like a color, every color is also related to emotions. And now that I have level 2 of Reiki, I kind of throw everything in together, because there's so much more. And so everything is related to emotions that you might not want to deal with. You might be disconnected from yourself. You might, for example, green is the color of love. Love, self-love, love, unconditional love. But you might be a people pleaser.
What number was green?
6, no, 4.
4.
So, it depends on what you want to work on, and I'll figure out what is the part of the colors that is keeping you stuck, and what part of the color you should be using. So after we figured that out and we understood what's blocking you, what it's in your energy field that is asking you to be seen and released and worked on, then I suggest my clients to use the color. And the way you can use the color is very simple. You can wear it, you can eat it, you can buy flowers, you can just have accessories around you, you can have a blanket, you can do a color meditation. It's very personal, and it's up to you. What the color does is going to make you feel something. So if you're annoyed by a color, you know when you get to that moment, oh, this color is in fashion, I'm going to buy everything that is red. And then you get to a point where you're like, I cannot stand red. Red is making me nervous. And that is because something is shifting within you. And because red is a very active color, it can make you feel nervous and angry and trigger something. Also because it's related to the first chakra, it's related to family, origins. We have a lot of things going on there. So
Safety.
I use a lot of those tools together, and then I help them to use the colors and see how they feel. For me, one of the tools that I use a lot is journaling, because I think that the moment you write down what you're feeling and what's going on, it kind of gives you a different perspective. You can work on that better. And so maybe I suggest to a client, okay, look, for this week, just tune into this color. So use it, eat it, and see what's going on, how you feel, how is this emotion going up or down, or whatever else. And if we work together for a longer period of time, then we will see what kind of colors come through in your energy. So we know what are your colors, and normally your colors are always the one that make you feel better, they make you feel more peaceful, where you feel more in tune with yourself. Even if, let's say you have green, but I told you that you have people pleasing tendencies, and you need to learn to take care of yourself first, and you need to learn to set up boundaries. Maybe that's one of the tasks that you have. And so using your color, we'll see how this setting up boundaries and standing up for yourself and taking care of yourself plays out for you.
What's the negative side of gold? I feel like it's an interesting one because it's not like it. First of all, gold's one of my colors, I guess. I'm obsessed with gold. I have purchased accessory type things for my home that I did not need to, but I'm like,
Obviously.
it's gold. I have to have it. I have this gorgeous flower holder thing that I think was meant for something else because it leaks and it's awful, but it's so beautiful. Anyway, I'd love to know like what the because it feels like gold's like not even necessarily a you know what I mean? Like it is a color, obviously, but it's not one of the blue, green. You know what I
Yeah, it's
mean?
not one of the primary colors. Yeah.
Yeah.
So gold is normally, it's the color of abundance, it's the color of wealth, it's the color of unity. And when you have gold, you're supposed to be connected and unified in your spirit, in your mind, in your physical body. You kind of like it's the color of enlightenment. But what is the contrary of that? You are
Mm.
disconnected.
Mm.
You are not maybe accepting that there is a higher source. um, you might be very angry and very angry maybe with someone or with words, and so there is no union for you. There is a lot of polarization maybe within you. Maybe
Mm.
you're disconnected from yourself, so you might have gold but you're not using the qualities. So every color has those tendencies, and it's up
Yeah,
to you to understand what they mean and how you can use that in the best way. um,
that's really interesting.
or you might not believe you can do it. I had a client that she had twice gold and twice indigo, and
Oh, wow,
she
that's
was at the
cool.
point where she had her full-time job. She was a director in the company where she was working, but she wanted to leave to start a holistic business. And she just couldn't see herself and her beauty. And I was like, gold is, you think about something wonderful, amazing, the sun shining, which is also yellow, but it's kind of like you got everything that going on if you have gold, but you just cannot see it.
Mm.
And so for me, that tells you also a lot about, and that's where I come in with emotional healing and energy healing and inner child healing. Because most of us, everyone, I would say, has wounds as a child.
Oh yeah.
So they will play up with you no matters what. And you can come to me like a lot of people do. I had a good childhood. My parents are really nice. I'm like, yeah, I'm not saying they're not, but let's dig into this. And then all of a sudden, they started to see the patterns. They started to see, yeah, that was love, but it was a controlling kind of love. So it's not unconditional. And, and we start to dig into that kind of topics to release that. And so it's a combination of a lot of things. But then for me, it's tuning into the colors. Sometimes I'm like, okay, well, this is the perfect example for you, exercise for you to tune into your intuition. You have a meeting at work today and you want to communicate something. Wake up in the morning and ask yourself, what color do I need to communicate this message properly? And see what's the color that comes through to mind when you open the wardrobe. What's the dress that comes through? And check and see, how do you feel when you wear that dress? How did the meeting go? And oftentimes I get messages or like pictures. Oh my God, I did this and this happened. I'm like, yeah. From an energetic standpoint, you are communicating something and people don't even know you are.
Yeah.
But if you trust yourself and the message that your intuition is giving you, you are opening up things within yourself you don't even know.
Building
And
that confidence and trust, which is
exactly. And so
everything.
we can work on the emotions, and you can tell me, yeah, I had this thing that I wanted to wear a red dress, but then I started doubting myself. So I put on a dress that was red and black. I was like, okay, let's talk about this. Because, there are a lot of, one thing that I discovered that I never really thought about, working with people that come from extremely religious family, Christian families. I work with this woman. She's like, yeah, my mom used to tell me never to wear red or yellow dresses because I would just try to catch the attention of men. And so that was sinful. I was like, okay, oh my God, I never really thought about it. But there is so much shame around also those things, when the reality is when you're wearing a color that suits you because you are in that energy, people will see it. You know, when you buy a new dress because you really like that color and people are like, oh my God, you look so good in this dress, and you know, your eyes are shining and your energy is just crazy. What did you do? You're like, nothing, I just bought this new dress. But the reality is that dress is doing something to you because the energy of that color is working with your energy already and is making you feel in a certain way and is attracting something different. And so that's how I play around with it.
I think it's so cool. So, in regards to like the emotional side of it, do you attach, I mean, I would assume that you attach emotions to different colors, like red, you know, passion and anger, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
blue,
not
I think, is
necessarily.
trust. And like, do you have certain, like,
Mm,
is that also
no,
categorized? No?
I mean, they do have, each color has their own emotions, but it really depends how it is when I tune into your energy, because it's your energy that tells me if there is a color. Also, because you might have anger because, I don't know, let's say you couldn't speak your truth with someone and you're angry. So what I'm gonna feel is orange, is yellow and blue because they are related to each other. So your anger might be here. The anger is yellow. So it's going to be connected because you couldn't speak your truth, but it depends on your energy, because there are different phases. Also, you might be slightly angry or very angry, and then if you're very angry, then it means it's a lot of repressed anger. Then we're going to go down to red and see the origins of that, because it wasn't only that person or that situation that make you angry. There is so much more behind that we need to kind of unpack.
So the colors are also related to the chakras, correct? Like you said,
Yeah.
red was one. So I
Yeah.
guess orange is two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
interesting. That's really cool. I think that, I mean, I know like the the reading that I channeled through the Akashic Records for 2022 mentioned this, but it's certainly something that I really feel strongly. I think emotions, learning how to manage our emotions, feel our emotions, heal, and feel empowered with our emotions, all of those things are going to be big themes in
Yeah.
this year for us. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like so many of us have been taught to not feel our emotions, to
Mm-mm.
keep things down. And our emotions are where all of our power is. You
Yes.
know, I know for myself and my own inner child healing, I mean, I'm a loud person. like, and I was always taught to calm down and be
Down. Yeah.
quieter and not feel all of the wide range of emotions,
Yeah.
you know, that I feel. And learning how to do that and learning that they're okay, you know,
Yeah.
when they're even the so-called negative emotions has been so healing and huge for me. But I feel like as a collective, that's something we're really moving into. So I think
Yeah.
your work is just really gonna like, you know, blossom this year even
Yeah,
more.
well, I'm gonna tell you something funny that it's not really funny, but I think it's very much aligned to this energy that you were talking about. So you know that it's a number six. So in
Mm-hmm.
numerology, it's about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
In my business, most of my clients up to when I was in England, it's been women that either had a business and were going through some moment of stuckness, or maybe just wanted to know their brand colors, or women that wanted to kind of leave their career and start make their side hustle a business, but it was always around work, or either women that had a full-time job, wanted to change, or there was something career-wise. Um, Obviously, when I work with them, then we get into the personal, because obviously that's how it is. But the moment I moved here, especially from this year, the first color reading that I did, she wanted to know about love. And I'm like, okay, I never done this, but fine. So we did a color reading about love. And this year I started to do some events. And first, I don't know, I just had this inspiration. It was, the 2nd of January, new moon in Capricorn. I was doing my goals for the year, and I just got this hit, like the description for the workshop, because my friend is which is where I am now. My friend is a photographer. She was like, you can use my studio 2 Sundays a month, and do your workshops. I was like, well, amazing.
Heck yeah.
So I got this hit. I'm like, oh my God, let's do a workshop about love. I don't know how I got that. And I started writing it down. I publish it. I'm using an app where people meet and go around for events. And soon after the holidays were gone, it became sold out. And I'm like, okay. Then I was like, okay, well, next one I'm going to do about self-esteem. It's okay, but it's not sold out. Then I'm like, okay, wait, let me see the Sundays in February. When it's Valentine's Day? I'm like, oh, Valentine's Day is a Monday. So let me put another love workshop on the 13th, sold out. And I keep having people coming to me, can I have a session with you? Because I got a client through one of the workshops that I did, and he wanted to do a energy detachment with his ex-girlfriend. I'm like, and this is a super businessman. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, what's going on? But as you said, relationships, that's where all the emotions are triggered. That is a friendship, a co-worker, your family, a possible lover, or your boyfriend, husband, whoever, or girlfriend and wife, whoever you deal with that is close to you enough, triggers things within you. And when you don't learn to understand yourself and your emotions and why those people are triggering you, and that's where you need to work, because when you do understand that, then you're also able to feel better about yourself and move forward in your life in whichever way you want to.
Yeah.
So I think that, as you said, it's a big topic this year, and there's going to be a lot of work to be done on all levels. And the first is the relationship that we have with ourselves.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, it's too, I mean, it's also, I think, partially related to the nodes and where the nodes have
Mm,
transitioned into.
yeah.
We're coming, like the South Node is in Scorpio, and Scorpio is all about
Mm-mm.
going deep. And
Yeah.
so we'll be excavating a lot of that. But it, like you said, it's a 6 year as well. And I think, like when I think about those six is, I also think about like work-life balance,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of the relationship that we have to all things in life.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always interesting to me how like my clients kind of jump from topic to topic. It's like back when I used to like be dating a lot and stuff, like for whatever reason, I'd like meet a whole bunch of guys with one sign, for a while, and then like another sign. And like that happens now within my practice too.
Yeah.
Um, but I think so much of what's happening with this interest in love is, and I understand this propensity to want to go outwards first to
Mm-hmm.
understand, and then we'll come back in. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So we're looking at our relationships, trying to figure that out, and hopefully that's going to push us inward, because that's where the real work is, right? Like you were
Yeah.
just talking about. Um, I mean, we can't. I know that my relationship has blown and blossomed in ways I couldn't even imagine, simply because of the work I've done on myself.
Yes.
loving myself, learning how to understand myself, make space for the mess.
Yeah.
And so I think yeah, that's definitely fully aligned, and very cool. I just love all of the intersection with all the different things you do. So, curious question, and then we'll kind of start wrapping up here. But is feng shui, like, have you gotten into that at all?
Don't get me started. No, I mean, I do love that. I really like it, and sometimes like, and I think now I'm moving into my new flat in March, and I think I'm surely gonna be do something of that. But sometimes I'm just like, yeah, no, it's too much. It's
Yeah.
really, I love it. It's just that right now there's so much going on that if I start to also learn about other stuff, it's just gonna get too much and too overwhelming. But no, I love all of the practices, you know. It fascinates me how the energy works and how it plays out, and what it means to learn to understand your energy. For me, the crucial thing about learning to understand your energy is that when something happens that is complicated and difficult to deal with, it's going back to what your energy is. A very simple example, last year I moved back, I thought things were going to be easier than they were, but I forgot that I have a narcissistic mother. So moving back with her was extremely challenging, but I know that I came back here. Now I know my soul wanted me here because I needed to heal the relationship with her in order for me to grow in all levels, in all areas of my life, which is happening. Um, and I remember that I had an astrology reading because I like to do one every 6 months with my astrologer. This was like, I kind of want to understand what I'm up to, because in my head I was like, I'm moving on the 21st of March. I'm going to take a couple of weeks off just to, you know, rest and do this, and then I'm going to do this, restart my podcast, launch this, and I just was so tired and so exhausted. And she kept saying to me, Mara, you need to just go with the flow and stay with your project and don't push. This year, it's not a year for you to push. And I'm like, what do you mean? I have so many things that I want to do. I need to get my business going. You know, I need to find also Italian clients because I'm always online. She was like,
What's your
don't know.
numerology year? Do you know?
I think I'm 2.
No, I
I
mean
think.
like your personal year number.
Yeah, I think I'm a 2.
You're in the two.
Yeah, I think. I'm not sure about that because sometimes I read stuff, but then I forget about it. And she was like, "No, you cannot push because this is happening, and you need to surrender." So she was like, buy the Surrender Experiment, the book, and then see, and then that kind of made me realize that my generator energy says that I need to respond and not to, you know, action straight away. And I was like, okay, but nothing is happening. So what do I respond to? And she's like, be patient. This year is going to be a little bit like this because you're going through other stuff. There is a lot of healing. There is a lot of work that you need to do. So be patient. Your business is probably not going to go as you were planning, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. I was like, and the beginning for me was really frustrating because I was like, but I have to do this, but I have to make this happen. And then I had her words in my head. I was like, okay, generator energy. My colors are all feminine energy because I have orange, purple, and pink. I was like, well, like if my stuff tell me what I need to do, well, maybe I should listen to what I do and just stay where I am and just relax and stay in this feminine and generator energy and just only respond to things and let things flow and come to me rather than me trying to push to collaborate with someone, launch a program, and it was very complicated at the beginning. But once I got into it, I'm like, okay, things are starting to happen slowly, because I've been told it's a slow here for me because I have other stuff to do, but they're happening because I'm learning to stay in my energy, and I'm learning not to push and trust. Trust was a big thing for me last year, which
Yeah.
you say, but your statement says, I help you trust your intuition. Yeah, clearly my soul wanted me to go a level deeper into that, because I had some other stuff to do, and now I'm like, okay, I get it. So for me, it makes even more sense to stay in your energy, whatever is your human design or whatever are your colors, because that's when you're aligned to a depth of yourself that it's you will never find anywhere else. And once you understand it, also on a mind level, everything just changes, because you really stop getting frustrated for no reason, and you really start to get back to center every time you come off track or something happens to you. And it's a practice. It happens once and then it happens again, and at some point you don't even have to do that, because you just know what you need. So every morning now I have rituals that I do that put me in that energy, and I'm like, fine, and then I'm done for the day. I can just do everything. And then whenever my mind goes, but maybe make that call, maybe send that message, maybe, I'm like, no, I'm just gonna meditate and ask the universe to send me this thing and send me this person whatever message that I need. And it's complicated because we've been, especially as women, we're used to, we've been told, to be valued, you need to make things happen, you need to push, you need to work hard. Yes, but you also need to follow yourself, and yourself is always going to tell you what you need to do. And so for me, this is crucial. Learn to understand who you are and how you function on an energetic level, and no one is going to be able to ever take that away from you, because even if when things change around you because you want them to or because they happen to change, you're still going to know that if I stay in this energy, and if I do this, and if I have this ritual, and if I have this, and if I call my friend and do this, I will get back to center, and then I can have clarity of mind, and I know what I can do.
Yeah.
And to me, that's one of the most important tools ever, because
Well,
the
it's priceless.
understanding, yeah,
No
the
one can take
understanding
that
of
from you.
yourself, yeah, the understanding of yourself, it's so important.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I woke up this morning in like the worst mood. I had two dreams of my partner doing mean things. And I woke up so mad, and I literally like threw on clothes and just went for a walk. It was like I knew I needed to like get outside in the cold weather to just shake myself
Yeah.
out, to just like shake it off. There was no way I could show up and be like, "Hi, Mara." Like, I had to switch that. So, and that was what enabled me to show up and be here and be present the way I needed to be,
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I fully agree. It's something I talk about a lot on the podcast. Certainly something I work with so much, within my clients. And but it's absolutely invaluable when we have that understanding and knowledge of ourselves,
Yeah.
and know that toolkit again that we can lean back on, when
Yeah.
things throw us off center, because they will. They just
Oh
will.
yeah. Yeah. I
And
mean,
that's
like,
life. And it's a blessing, it's like
exactly.
totally a blessing, because then we
Yeah.
learn new things, and we get to see different aspects of ourselves, and it's not a negative thing. And I think just what you're talking about is acceptance,
Yeah.
just accepting. When we fight back, then I'm sorry, we're just going to lose, it's
Yeah.
just,
I mean, you can try, but then like you're always gonna end up where you don't want to be, and just doesn't make any sense to me, because I feel also that right now it's not like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. We weren't here. All these healers, all these spiritual people that can help you understand yourself on a different level. You can do it yourself as a start. there is so much out there that you can read, and you can go to seminars, you can work with a coach, a healer, whatever that is, that can help you understand yourself on a deeper level. So I feel like there is no excuse really, and you can do it. It's complicated sometimes, it might be scary, but once you get to that point, your life is just so much better. I'm like, if you go through this process, yes, it might be painful and difficult and a little bit long, but when you get out of the other side, you're just going to feel like a different person and a better person.
Yeah.
So the investment, it's, as you said at the beginning, it's priceless, because what you receive from that, it's like more of you. And to me, it's like that more of you, the more you add pieces of yourself back to yourself, as you said, no one can ever take that back from you. Maybe they did in the past, because you also allowed that, because you didn't know anything, but now you do. So you can do everything that you want, and and you can be anything that you want, which is what we all want. But I think this is the time.
Yeah. I think 2022 is an incredible year for that. So let's dive in to the lightning round here, because I want to respect your time. I feel like we could end up chatting all day, but yeah. Okay. So I have a lightning round, just quick answers.
Okay.
And okay, so number one, what is the one habit that you can't live without?
Right now, it's meditating in the morning.
Awesome. Okay, number two, what does spirituality mean for you?
Learning to understand yourself.
Awesome. Agreed. Number three, what is your advice to anyone who's looking to find purpose?
Start loving and taking care of yourself. You are the most important person, no matter what people say, no matter if people call you selfish. You are the most important person, and you need to look after yourself. Nobody can do that for you. Nobody should be doing that for you. And when you start to look after yourself and love yourself and give to yourself everything that you think someone else or something else should give to you, that's when you start to understand and change whatever it is that is going on with you.
Agreed, for sure. Okay, and then finally, how can people connect with you online?
You find me very active on Instagram as the Intuition Queen. And then I have a website, which is theintuitionqueen.com. And you can find me on my Facebook group, Discover Your True Colors.
Okay, perfect. And also, you have a podcast called The Intuition Queen, correct?
No, it's called Intuitive Queens.
Intuitive Queens.
Yes.
Queens? Okay.
Queens.
Perfect. We'll make sure to have all the links in the show notes for folks.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking with me, Mara. It's been such a pleasure. I've so enjoyed this and still have so many questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anna. It was such a beautiful conversation, and I agree with you. I could go on and on forever talking about this.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We'll have to have you back.
With pleasure.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for being with us today. If you were inspired by today's interview, make sure to jump on iTunes, leave a review, send me an email, let me know what really resonated with you. Be sure to sign up for the email list to receive podcast updates and other helpful resources. And don't forget, when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits. Until next week.